And welcome back to the Michael Cohen Show on our continued journey to 500,000 subscribers. We should already be there. With your help, we can. Hit subscribe, watch, comment, keep the comments coming, and share with your family and friends because the stupidity, it never ends. And another weekend of MAGA humiliation in the books, right? MAGA Mike Johnson was on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker, who challenged the speaker's claims that the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, was corrupt. Play that clip.
In 2017, actually, the CBO was pretty right when you adjusted for inflation. But let me read you something that you said back in 2021 about the CBO. This was in relation to a Democratic bill. You said the CBO has confirmed this bill adds nearly $400 billion to the deficit, contrary to the White House's claim that the bill is paid for. So do you only believe the CBO when a Democrat is president, Mr. Speaker?
No, this is very easy to explain. The CBO sometimes gets projections correct, but they're always off every single time when they project economic growth. They always underestimate the growth that will be brought about by tax cuts and reduction in regulations. Look.
Yeah, you look, MAGA Mike, because he continues to try and claim that the big, beautiful bill is not going to add to the national debt. But we all know differently. Play the clip.
Mr. Speaker, if the big, beautiful bill does add to the debt, will President Trump own that?
It's not going to add to the debt, but I can tell you that President Trump is laser focused on two primary things: delivering on his campaign promises and the America First agenda, which is what a record number of 77 million voters, popular votes, requested and demanded and gave us a mandate to do. But he's also concerned, as I am, as Ron Johnson is, as Rand Paul is, as all of us are, about the nation's debt. And he and I talk about this frequently, and he is excited about changing that trajectory. That President Trump, I think, can be the most consequential president of the modern era because he has these opportunities to do these big things. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a big first step to provide relief for the American people, to give everybody more take-home pay, more money in their pocket, and to change the trajectory of the country. And again, it's the first of a number of steps, and President Trump is committed to doing this.
Mr. Speaker, the Joint Committee on Taxation, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, the Tax Foundation, the Penn-Wharton budget model all say this will add trillions of dollars to the deficit. Are you really telling the American people this will not add 1 penny to the debt and deficit? You can guarantee that?
I am telling you this is going to reduce the deficit. I mean, you cite...
Yeah, again, how about just hold him to answer the question? Will Trump accept accountability if and when the big, beautiful bill ends up raising our debt? It's just a simple question. And it doesn't need him to recite what we know, the talking points memo. What it requires is a yes or a no. And why not just push him to that? And then use the secondary question to turn around and say, everybody says it's going to, except for you. Mr. Speaker, why don't you tell us why you're right? Why is the president right? And again, let me ask you one more time. Will he take accountability if and when the price goes up or the deficit goes up? Meanwhile, Russ Vought, he's the architect of Project 2025. He was on CNN with Dana Bash, where she asked him about wanting to traumatize federal bureaucrats. Play the clip.
One of the things that you said in 2023 was specific to federal workers. I want to play that for our viewers.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. We want to put them in trauma.
Is that your goal as OMB director?
Look, I love how you cherry-picked the quote on trauma. What I was referring to there was the bureaucracy. We do believe there's weaponized bureaucracy. We do believe that there are people who have been part of administrations that are fundamentally woke and weaponized against the American people. When you have the EPA put a 77-year-old Navy veteran named Joe Robertson in jail for doing ponds to fight wildfires on his lawn. That's not just the FBI, it's the EPA. And we do want to defund and put those bureaucracies out of business.
Yeah. The guy who weaponizes, do I need to tell you who that is? We all know. Meanwhile, Dana also asks Russ about Medicaid cuts, and he lied. He literally sat there lying, as they all do, saying no one, not a person, will end up losing coverage. Play the clip.
The other reason why we're seeing some pushback is because of the Medicaid cuts that were passed by the House and that are going to go into the Senate. There was a town hall, which I'm sure you saw. Iowa Senator Joni Ernst was asked, it was pretty raucous, about the Medicaid cuts. And she responded by saying, people were saying that people are going to die. And she said, we're all going to die. But the question that she was getting from constituents were concerns about Medicaid, food stamps, and other government support programs leading to people dying and premature deaths. What do you say to those concerns?
I think they're totally ridiculous. This is AstroTurf. This bill will preserve and protect the programs, the social safety net, but it will make it much more common sense. Look, 1 out of every $5 or $6 in Medicaid is improper. We have illegal immigrants on the program. We have able-bodied working adults that don't have a work requirement that they would have in TANF or even SNAP. And those are something that's very important to institute. That's what this bill does. No one will lose coverage as a result of this bill.
Doubtful. Meanwhile, as mentioned in that clip, Joni Ernst made a completely and disgusting, offensive joke during a town hall meeting. Here's her response to being called out. Play the clip.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well. But for those that would like to see eternal and everlasting life, I encourage you to embrace my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
There's something mentally wrong with this lady, and shame on anybody who votes for her. Meanwhile, Mark Brennan on CBS, he exposed the FDA commissioner for spreading false information in order, listen to this, in order to cast doubt now on the COVID vaccine. Play that clip.
There's zero clinical data. You're opining. I mean, it's a theory. And so we don't want to put out an absolute recommendation for kids with no clinical data.
So you made this pronouncement as well on pregnant women. There is data. Researchers in the UK analyzed a series of 67 studies, which included 1.8 million women. And the journal BMJ Global Health published it. People can Google it at home. And it says the COVID vaccine in pregnant women is highly effective in reducing the odds of maternal SARS-CoV-2 infection, hospital admission, and improves pregnancy outcomes with no serious safety concerns. This is data that shows that it is recommended or could be advised for pregnant women to take this vaccine. Why do you find otherwise?
There's no randomized controlled trial. That's the gold standard. Those 67 studies are mixed. The data in pregnant women is different for healthy versus women with a comorbid condition. So it's a very mixed bag. So we're saying your obstetrician, your primary care doctor, and the pregnant woman should together decide whether or not to get it. 12% of pregnant women last year got the COVID shot. So people have serious concerns, and it's probably because they want to see a randomized trial data. The randomized trial in pregnant women.
The world moves on. And you published in the New England Journal of Medicine on May 20th in that report you referenced, you listed pregnancy as an underlying medical condition that increases a person's risk for severe COVID. You said that. So then 7 days later, you joined in this video announcement saying you should drop the recommendation for the COVID vaccine in healthy pregnant women. So what changed in the 7 days?
In the New England Journal of Medicine, we simply list what the CDC has traditionally defined as high risk, and we're just saying decide with your doctor.
Yeah, the problem here is you, Marty. The problem is you had no choice but to change your position in order to ensure that you got this position. Meanwhile, George Stephanopoulos, he asked Kevin Hassett about trade agreements. Hassett, of course, said he thought that we would have seen one last week. Huh? Play the clip.
We showed at the top of this piece you talking about how you believe we're on the brink of getting many of these trade negotiations secure. Where are we exactly? When will we see an actual agreement? Will we see any this week?
I expected that we were going to probably see one perhaps as early as last week. And I think that one of the things that's happened is that the trade team has been focused 100% like a laser beam on the China matter to make sure that there are no supply disruptions because these licenses are coming a little slower than we would like. And so we've been focused like a laser beam on that last week. And the presidents, we expect, will discuss the matter this week. Once that thing's resolved, then we're going to take deals into the Oval that Jameson Greer and Howard Lutnick have negotiated.
Lies, lies, and more lies. That's all that I've showed you so far. They just don't stop lying. Now, I want to end on a clip of Elon Musk slightly embarrassing himself by admitting that his relationship with Trump might be a bit rockier than what people think. Play the clip.
And, you know, it's not like I agree with everything the administration does. So it's like I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. You know, there are things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention. So then I'm a little stuck in a bind where I'm like, well, I don't want to, you know, speak out against the administration, but I don't want to. I also don't want to take responsibility for everything the administration is doing.
Look, let me be very clear. I was on MSNBC The Weekend Primetime on Saturday night. And one of the things that I turned around and said, Trump, now that they have extricated Elon Musk from the White House, which has thrilled many of the cabinet members, watch what happens to him next. Watch as they throw him under the bus. And don't think for a second that simply because he has money, he's going to be able to defend himself. No one can. It's why I constantly say, be a part of the community. Share this with friends and family. And as always, thanks for listening. Hey, everyone. First of all, thanks for watching. We're going to be posting daily episodes with reactions and talking about politics. We'll be talking about everything, in fact. So please like and subscribe. Join us on this journey.